haven't shared, at least on this platform, almost anything on the censorship that's been going on. And now I feel like I need to. And it started in seeing that the Biden administration are talking about a plan to censor text messages. Now, a lot of people say, well, social media platforms are private. They have the right to censor. All right. Well, now this isn't a private sector, right? This is talking about the government. Now, before I go into right or wrong, good or bad, because again, we cannot resolve conflict staying on the level of duality, on the level of good or bad, right or wrong. What's the right thing to do? Speaking of physical action, I can't know what that is. I can't know what the greatest possibility for the overall growth and human evolution looks like. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not God. But it's about asking the question, when has trying to control other people, and this is a human right, the right to share your mind, to speak, to share your opinion, to ask questions, this is going to happen whether or not you make a law or rule about it. So when has suppressing anything actually created the result that you believe it creates? You know, when you suppress sexuality and religion, what do you get? You get a expressive suppression. You get more expression, but then that expression is suppressed. So the expression is still there. What you suppress will express. And typically it expresses through the lens of trauma, through the lens of violence, through the lens of rebellion. This is just common sense. To believe a solution lies on the level of to censor or not to censor is defeating or is avoiding getting to the core conversation. And the core conversation is, number one, before I go any deeper into this, is understanding, especially for all of you freedom fighters out there, that the only thing that gives other people power is your belief in their power over you, is your belief that they're more powerful than you. So to be censored by someone and then to believe my power is taken away, my influence is taken away, that I'm in lack, that actually perpetuates the agenda because everything is energy. If I resist the censorship, if I fight it from negativity, not from inspiration, fighting something from inspiration doesn't feel like a fight. It feels like flow. It feels like fun. It feels like creativity. It feels like synchronicity. That is how you transcend these cycles of oppression. You don't give your power to it. So we are being called to be willing to be censored for our truth telling. That is what we're being called. If everyone on the planet is decided to share their mind, to speak up regardless of the censorship, and they did it in a way that is not coming from their wounds, their traumas, their pain, which I know this is asking a lot, but that's what this age of transformation is asking of us. It's asking us to become enlightened beings, to transform, to accelerate, to move into the next phase of our evolution, which is an evolution of consciousness. So that might be a big ask, but that is what we are being asked based on what's happening right now. At least for those of you that desire freedom, that's what you're being asked. You're being asked to look at the fear, to look at the stories that say this person is more powerful, that I'm powerless, that I'm small and they're big, that there even is such a thing as a me and a them. That they are out there and I'm over here and it's us versus them. We're being called to even question that. We're being called to question who we think we are. We're being called to question what we think God is. We are going through a societal transformation. So step one is releasing resistance. When you resist something, you give it energy, you perpetuate it. That which you focus on grows. That which you give attention to grows. So we're at a stage where it is our job to bring awareness to that which we don't prefer. And let me give you a distinction between preference and being triggered. A preference says, I don't prefer this. But even if it's here, I'm not going to allow it to take away my peace. It would be the equivalent of going to a Starbucks and your preference is to get a coffee and you pull up and they go, we're out of coffee. In that moment, you can stress and be upset, and that means you actually didn't have a preference. That means you had a need or an addiction. Or you can realize that reality, what's going on out there, there are no problems out there. Problem is a concept. What's out there is just what's happening. It's what's going on. It's lifing. Point to a problem, and you're not going to be pointing actually at the actual problem. You're pointing to a story in the mind. And I'm not saying there's things out there that we don't need to change. It's my preference that a lot of things change. But for me to believe in lack and problem and suffering and pain, to believe that it's my job to change and control all of those things is going to make me feel really small. It's an impossible job because I can't do it. So there's one job that we all have, and that job is to get radically honest with ourselves and first say, okay, am I reacting to the censorship because this represents some unhealed wound from my past? This person's censoring me, and that means what? Finish the sentence. Dig into your belief system. That means I'm small, I'm weak, I'm powerless, I'm being controlled, and really start doing some self-inquiry and see that you're actually upset at your beliefs about the censorship. Now, when you do that, this is the beautiful part. You will approach censorship from a place of inspiration and creativity. You'll basically approach it with everything but the stressful thinking. And what does stressful thinking do? Pits people against each other. It causes confusion. It hinders your creativity. It literally puts you into fight or flight. So let me just ask you this. What is more effective? Rebellion, resistance that leads to, and that is a byproduct of, stress and negativity, which creates a lack of creativity. It creates fear. It literally keeps you from new creative solutions because you go into fight or flight, and in fight or flight, you can only repeat patterns of the past. So let me ask you, what is more effective? Approaching the situation first. And again, this is not just about censorship. This can be if you enjoy freedom, this can be a way of living every area of your life. To approach it from a place of radical forgiveness, because forgiveness is totally selfish. You let them off the hook to let you off the hook, because the moment you judge someone, energy doesn't leave its source. You become that judgment. It doesn't feel good, and you can lie to yourself all you want. It doesn't feel good to judge someone, to call them bad, to call them wrong. You literally start becoming that energy. And then what do? What are the physics of that moment? The physics of that interaction is you're actually voting for more of it. What you put out is what you get back. That is science. That is a law. If I energize it, if I put out negativity, I'm asking for more of it. So I have to see what I'm making this mean about me that is not true. Because all negative beliefs, all of the ego stories that we tell ourselves that are negative, that create fear, that create stress, are not true. And it takes you doing that work and having the humility to go, okay, if this is causing me stress, if this is causing me pain and suffering, then I need to understand that I'm not upset at what I see. I'm upset at what I don't see, but I think is real, which is the stories in my mind. We have to start there. or we will literally just repeat patterns of the past. And this is a new pattern. It's challenging for some people. They think it's weak. They think they're going to lose their fight. And my question to all of that would be, is it true? Because I think it's the opposite. It's strong, and you will only express more creativity, inspiration, and act on your preference that much more courageously, that much more fearlessly, without the stress. So we have to approach censorship with the same consciousness we would approach anything else, a relationship. Well, I'm not going to try to change the relationship. I'm going to change myself. I'm going to realize this external thing has no power over me, only the power that I give it. And once I'm clear and here, well, then I'm going to start seeing the world around me very clear. And the world around me is a projection of my mind. It's my mind projected, right? You've heard the phrase, reality is holographic. It's a holographic projection. When I shift, it shifts. You know, like Bashar said, look into a mirror. If you see a frown in the reflection, you don't wait there and go, well, I guess I'm just going to frown and wait until the reflection changes and then I'll smile. No. You smile first, and then the reflection has no choice but to smile. Well, same thing here. When you can release and let go of all of the beliefs, everything that censorship is bringing up, right? I'll use this phrase. Censorship isn't affecting you, it's reflecting you. It's going to reflect back to you your belief system. So our job, number one, is to see and integrate and forgive and heal from anything causing us stress in this moment related to censorship. Once we feel clear, then you can say, now I recognize this is not my preference. But I'm not disempowered by it. I'm not stressed out. So now I have 100% of my energy to put into my preference, to speak my truth anyway, because if I want to live in a world where everyone's allowed to speak their truth, then I have to lead by example. And now I'm going to do the best that I can, as fully as I can, to be an example of the world I wish to see. That could mean creating new systems, speaking my voice with the willingness to be censored, to show others they have nothing to fear. Now that's what we need. So if you try to change what's happening, you'll be stressed. Change yourself, be an example of what you want to see, and you'll feel empowered. And the more you do that, the more you'll see other people doing that. You will be the invitation for people that may not be where you're at yet in your consciousness. They might be holding on to the fear, and you just might be their permission slip. The last thing I'll say is this, as you start doing this healing and transformational work within, you will realize that freedom of speech is nothing to be afraid of. There's no such thing as a dangerous freedom of speech or dangerous words. There's only dangerous beliefs. And when I say a dangerous belief, I mean only my beliefs about someone else can create the experience of danger for me, not the words themselves. Someone could lie to me, try to convince me, right, of something. They could try to mislead me, spread misinformation. But what is actually causing me to have stress in my life? Well, if believing those things give me stress, that's my choice, not theirs. If not investigating those things is my choice, and then I'm misleading myself. And this might be a hard pill to swallow for many, but you have never been misled by anyone but yourself. You have never been manipulated by anyone but yourself, even if it's unconscious. You didn't place the unconscious beliefs there, so you don't have to take ownership and go, oh, I was operating unconsciously and I put all those unconscious beliefs there. You don't have to operate on that level of ownership. But what you can say is, I am responsible for every choice that I've made in my life. Right? Because I might not have been the one that experienced consciously choosing my negative beliefs or my egos and my ego construct or my way of seeing reality, my paradigm. But I'm responsible for not questioning it. I'm responsible for believing it and then acting on it. And everything in our life can be traced back to our choice, and what preceded that is our thoughts, what preceded that is our emotion, and what preceded that is our belief. So we are also being called to take radical responsibility and to end the condemning of other people that you think are spreading misinformation and calling them dangerous, because right in that moment, you're stressed. You're feeling filled with judgment, blame, and guilt. And to live a life like that for your entire life, if that doesn't change, that could be dangerous. And, I'm just using that as a metaphor. There's nothing dangerous about living that kind of life. But think about that. Is that the life that you want to live? If not, then your beliefs are a danger to the life that you do want to live. So, in radical responsibility, say what you want, do all the misinformation you want. I'm going to question what I see. I'm going to come to my own conclusions. I'm going to do this thing. It's called thinking for myself. And I'm going to show you, and this is a line on the Course in Miracles, I'm going to show you that your sin has no effect. And that's what we are being called to demonstrate. Your sin has no effect. Your misstep, misperception, your misaction, that is a little off of who you really are, that is based in confusion, based in separation, based in trauma, which really makes me and you no different, by the way. I am going to show you that it has no effect. That's how you take your power back. So we need to be willing to speak and meet the consequences if you really want it, if you really have the desire to change the world. And again, there is no world to change your world, your experience. That's all you can and need to change. The world, the world is within you. It's in your mind. Your experience of it is in here. Change what's going on in here, and out there will start changing. And now imagine a collective doing that. I'm going to say yes to what I prefer. I'm not going to fight, judge, and push against, aka vote for what I don't prefer. And I'm going to do it without fear of the consequences, because I know who I am. I know that I'm an indestructible, infinite soul at my core. I know who I am. My true self can never be hurt or harmed or altered. So bring it on. I'll love you anyway, because it hurts me to hate you. It hurts me to judge you. I love myself too much to not love you. And it doesn't matter what mask you wear. President, censorship, people, government. It doesn't matter what mask you wear. My love for you is selfish, because I am abandoning myself when I take my love away from you. And I am done with that. I am done abandoning myself for a cheap temporary hit of ego satisfaction that says I'm right and you're wrong. We need to be willing to be wrong for the sake of peace. To admit that we are not seeing things clearly if we are confused and in suffering. We are buying into stories of past and future. We're not living in the now. We're not living in real reality. We're living in our mind. We need to admit and own that and feel the pain in that moment, the resistance, and let ourselves die to love. And from there is nothing you can be afraid of, because every ego death that you have shaves off the fear of actual death, shaves off the fear of anything. And that is why we're all here. That is our process of transformation, our process of ascension, if you want to call it that. So thank you, censorship overlords, for enhancing my acceleration of transformation, I'm going to be an example of the world I want to see now. And I invite you to join me. I invite you to make a video. I invite you to do what you imagine you need to do for you. That is your highest excitement. That is your inspiration to be an example in this world. I invite you to do the same. Thank you.